and please tell him and or her what exactly is something that cannot be cut, because everything is subjected to cuts at this point.
Okay. Now let's go into the next subject matter. We're going to talk about a bit about foreclosures. You may have heard. I mean, you may have, if you were tuned into the previous program, they were talking about the foreclosure crisis and things to do here in the county and how to address certain foreclosure issues. So we're going to touch on that briefly in terms of legislation and areas that community programs that may be able to assist you based in the representative's area. So, Representative Thapedi, can you touch on the foreclosure issues and how it's affecting your district, the 32nd district?
Foreclosures are devastating in my district, absolutely devastating. And when I first came into office, that was something that I was very aggressive in addressing with legislation. And my first bill actually was based upon a real life experience that I had in court, where a family was losing their home because one of the defenses that they had was that they had never received notice of the foreclosure sale. But interestingly enough, at the time, before I introduced the legislation, which is now law, in order to make the argument that you did not have notice of the sale, you would have to post a bond or a guarantee equal to the amount of the foreclosure action.
Okay.
So if you think about the logistics of it, counselor, if someone is being foreclosed upon, how could they possibly get a bond or a guarantee
Right.
to make that argument?
Right.
And so that, again, that was something that was problematic in the legislature. I knew that from practicing law on a consistent basis. I was able to address it with some legislation, and I've been doing that ever since. From the vacant and abandoned properties in my community. And then I'm sure that some of your viewers that live in some of those troubled areas, they're seeing the vacant homes, they're seeing the board ups, and they're experiencing those problems with waste, with litter, rodents, you name it. So those are things that we're definitely working on addressing in Springfield, understanding that the banks and the financial institution is a very powerful lobby. But again, I think that the banks realize that they have to cooperate with us because it's devastating to our communities. It doesn't do them any good to have assets that are essentially toxic assets. So these are things that we're working on a consistent basis, and which is a major concern to me as well.
Okay. So someone in your district, the 32nd district, if they're facing a foreclosure, what would you, to recommend that they do? Should they contact your office? Should they contact an attorney? What's some of the first things that they should do?
They should contact the Cook County Bar Association immediately. They should not delay. They should not, as my mother uses the term, put their head in the sand or put the covers over their head. Do not do that. You cannot do that. It's not going to go away. And oftentimes when people are in trouble, they hope and they pray that it's going to go away. When a foreclosure action is beginning on you, it's not going to go away. Please seek legal representation. There may be a way, and there are ways to save your home, to save your credit, and do the things that are necessary for you to continue living in your home and having a viable life. But again, if you don't seek expert counsel, you're putting yourself into a very precarious situation.
And just once again, as Representative Thapedi has mentioned, if you are in trouble, any legal issue, foreclosures, criminal issues, traffic issues, please give our lawyer referral program a call. The number is 312-630-1157, extension 1. And in addition, give us a call. We have one call this evening. We would love to hear from you just to kind of get your touch on the temperature and the climate of foreclosure issues and just some of the budget crisis issues that the way that you see it, because we're here to listen to you as well. Phone number is 312-738-1060. Quick comment before we go into our final subject matter. I read an article just recently in terms of, and this is kind of the confusing thing about statistics and the like with the foreclosure issue, because basically I read an article in the, I believe it was in the Sun Times, in terms of they compared the foreclosure rates from last year at this time to this year at this time, and it seems that overall, from a year-to-year basis, we're getting better in terms of the foreclosure, in terms of the decrease in the number of foreclosures in the state. However, from a month-to-month basis, just from, if you look at from February 2011 to March March 2011 to April 2011, there's been an increase in the number of foreclosure filings. So it's got to, I mean, this is a confusing thing about some of the statistics. So it seems like we're getting better, but then if you look at a small sample basis of a month-to-month basis, it seems like there's been an increase. So what's your kind of take on that, sir?
And I think my take on that is quite simply a lot of legislation that's pending in Springfield. Essentially that we have been introducing legislation which the governor has recognized is definitely logical and definitely something that is necessary at this time, that makes it somewhat more, let me say, difficult for the banks to file foreclosure actions. And that's why I was saying earlier in the program that it's so important that if you are facing foreclosures, to call and get legal representation. It's that simple. And I think that the statistics that you're seeing shows that we're being effective in Springfield, that the banks can't just quickly foreclose upon you, quickly take possession. There are things that have to be done by the banks before they can initiate those lawsuits. And I think that that is slowing down the process some, but as they pick up the pace, that's where you'll see that rise in the numbers. But again, I think that numbers are a little skewed, that there are still foreclosures happening. It's a very rampant problem, and I think that you and I heard that with a caller earlier today that was complaining about a process that she was having with foreclosures and in the Circuit Court of Cook County.
Now, I guess one question just to touch on with the foreclosure realm. Based on your experience down in Springfield, is there a difference in terms of the effect of foreclosures in your district compared to a district downstate?
Well, I've looked at the statistics on that there are, well, obviously in Cook County, we have, of the 12 million people that are in the state of Illinois, more than half of them live in Cook County. So clearly there's going to be a correlation between the number of foreclosures that are filed in Cook County as some of the downstate counties. Sangamon County, for an example, where Springfield is also having such challenges. But as far as percentages are concerned, Cook County is clearly the highest.
Okay. I believe we have a caller.
Good evening again.
Hey, good evening. Question or comment?
Yeah, I just want to ask, is there a pro se help desk type workshop situation going out there where people can, help themselves to some legal service?
Absolutely, there is. There's something that's called the Pro Se Court, and I believe it's on the 6th floor of the Daily Center.
I believe that's correct.
And it's basically the people's court. You don't need a lawyer. You're free to go in there. The people that are there at the desk, they will assist you in drafting out a complaint. The one thing that you have to remember is that make sure you bring your receipts, because you can only sue for out-of-pocket money losses. If it's something dealing with a foreclosure action or a criminal action or something else where you're trying to force someone to do something by way of an injunction, that is not where you would go. That particular branch of the Circuit Court of Cook County, the Pro Se Court, is limited strictly to damages for out-of-pocket money losses. So yes, the answer to your question is yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that call, and thanks for calling twice. Let's go, and we have a few minutes left. Let's touch on this. This is a hot issue, a very, sort of controversial issue going on right now in terms of the gun legislation, conceal and carry. Could you kind of tell us what's going on down in Springfield in terms of, I believe it was House Bill 1428?
House Bill 148.
148, sorry.
148
sorry, excuse me.
Is, the sponsor of the bill is a representative by the name of Brandon Phelps. Representative Phelps is from the most southern district in the state of Illinois. He's all the way down there. He's almost in Kentucky. And that's why I mentioned a little earlier in the program that I should say that Representative Phelps is a Democrat. And generally people have the misconception that when there's gun legislation pending with the pro-gun lobby versus the anti-gun lobby is primarily based here in Cook County. And the pro-gun lobby is pretty much based south of I-80, which in Springfield terms is considered downstate. And the problem is that we don't see eye to eye on it. And the reason why we don't see eye to eye is because we have cultural differences. Downstate, some of those folks down there, that's what they do for fun. That while in the city of Chicago and in Cook County, our young people will play basketball and those types of things. But downstate, that they respect weapons, and those are things that they like to do as far as hunting is concerned. So having said that and laid the groundwork for that, Representative Phelps has filed a bill, and that's House Bill 148, And in that particular bill, he wants to empower the various county sheriffs in the state of Illinois to issue conceal and carry permits to individuals that hold FOID cards. When they talk about conceal and carry, the legislation is very specific as far as it being handguns.
Okay.
You can actually have a handgun concealed or partially concealed or in your vehicle. So the challenge that has occurred in Springfield is because there are 118 of us in the House of Representatives, clearly all you really need is 60 votes to pass something. But if something affects home rule, there's a heightened burden, and you must have additional votes to do that.
Okay.
That's roughly 71 votes in order to pass something that affects home rule. And the ruling has been made that this conceal and carry legislation will require a supermajority. So Representative Phelps, who's a Democrat, as I said, is joined by, I believe, maybe 7 or 8 other Democrats, along with many other Republicans, to pass the bill. It has numerous sponsors and is a very, very hot issue. It's such a hot issue that I went ahead and I did a survey in my own district to get the feedback from my constituents as to whether or not that's something they support, the conceal and carry proposal. So I'm still waiting on those results to come in. And while I have an open mind, I have been told clearly, and I've done the issue before, is that it seems that the people in the 32nd District are not in favor of supporting the conceal and carry legislation. I personally don't feel one way or another, and I understand that there are arguments on both sides, but being a legislator and being a representative, I want to make sure that I can get as much feedback as I can from my constituents. So again, if there are callers out there that live in the 32nd District or anywhere in the inner city that have some feedback, I'm happy to listen to you.
We're pretty much winding down. I think we got a little bit over a minute left, so I want to kind of just give Representative Thapedi, the final word in terms of just giving us any sort of final comments to his constituents and also to the general public here.
Well, again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. As I said, the Cook County Bar Association is near and dear to my heart. It's the oldest bar association, the oldest black bar association in the country, with a great history. And your viewers that are watching, you have to always take advantage of associations like the Cook County Bar Association, lawyers that are here available to help you from a wide variety of different topics. And it's something that I think, especially in my community, that I've noticed is that we don't utilize the resources that are available to us, especially the Cook County Bar Association. The National Medical Association, which is the group of black doctors, they're also available to assist. So these are things that are always available to our people, that are available to the people in the 32nd District, and I would encourage them to utilize them at all times.
All right. Thank you so much, Representative. It's good to see a person come up through the CCBA generations. Your mom was a former president, and now you're here and you're doing big things, and you're kind of representing and coming through the bootstraps of what the CCBA is all about. So thank you. So please tune in next week, 5:30, on the issue of trademark, copyright, and internet law. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.